Okay, good evening, everyone. This is Beth Hager, the Arizona Program Director for JSA. So we're going to give people a few minutes to join us and then we'll get started.
Beth, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Can you hear me?
Oh, cool, yeah.
Okay.
Is anybody else on?
They are, so
Cool, hey guys. Wait, who's presenting, you or me?
me.
Okay, so it says you have been made the presenter.
Yeah, let me fix that.
Okay. Here, I gotta look for that. Did you send it to my email?
I did.
Okay, cool.
go ahead and get started. I'm hoping everyone can hear me. So for those of you who have joined us, thank you. My name is Beth Hager. I'm the Arizona Program Director with JSA, and then also with us tonight is Tessa DiContini, who's one of the chapter presidents in Arizona at Rincon University High School, which is in Tucson. And so this presentation is one of kind of the monthly presentations that we're going to be having with chapter presidents from across the country. And tonight we're going to be focusing on recruitment in chapters. Definitely a timely issue because with this, many of you kind of starting your school years or a couple, like a month or so into your school year, it's a good time to start thinking about recruitment and recruitment ideas, and we'll kind of go through a couple of different ideas on how to up your recruitment in your chapters, and then also talk about timing of different recruitment activities throughout the school year. So it looks like, according to what I'm seeing, that we have about 21 people in attendance, which is great. So I'm going to attempt to unmute you so you guys can introduce yourselves really quickly. And if you just want to let us know your name and the chapter you belong to and where that's located, that would be great. And I'll just go in alphabetical order. So we'll start with Alyssa. Let me unmute you here. Okay, Alyssa, are you there?
Yes, hello.
Hi.
I'm Alyssa from Old Bridge High School in New Jersey, and I am the co-president of my chapter.
Okay, great. Thanks for joining us. Okay, and then the Andrew Schulman.
Hi, I'm the chapter president of the chapter at Severna Park High School in Maryland, and our chapter is relatively new. We're about 2 days old.
Oh, wow. Okay.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you. Okay, and then Angel Lynn. Angel, are you there?
Hi. Yeah, sorry. I'm Angel Lynn. I'm chapter president of the Eastside Catholic chapter, and that's located in the Pacific Northwest, Washington State.
Okay, great. Welcome. Okay, and then it looks like we have Berkeley, who is on the web, so I cannot unmute you, but welcome, Berkeley. Next, we have Caitlin Bork. Caitlin, are you there?
Hi. Hi, I'm Caitlin Burke, and I'm the chapter president of Scotch Plains, New Jersey.
Great, thanks for joining us. Okay, and then Dale Harris.
Hello?
Dale?
Yes. Hi,
Yes.
I'm Dale. I'm the president of the PAWS chapter.
Welcome. And then, let's see, Drew Benzala, or Benzaya.
Hey, I'm Drew. I'm the chapter president of the North Warren Regional Chapter, and that's in northern New Jersey.
Okay, great. And then, oh, here's one I recognize, Grace Mena. Welcome.
Hi, I'm Grace. I'm the chapter president of Chaparral High School's chapter, which is in Scottsdale, Arizona.
Great, thanks for joining us. Okay. Azita, hopefully I'm pronouncing that right. Azita, are you there? Okay, we'll try back. Okay, Jackson.
Yeah, hi, I'm Jackson Lambers. I'm the chapter president of the Naples High School chapter in Naples, Florida.
Okay, great. Thanks for joining us. Okay, and let's see. Okay, Jasmine.
Oh, hi, I'm Jasmine. I'm the chapter president of Canyon High School in Southern California.
Great. And Lena. Lena, are you there?
Hi, I'm the chapter president of Yorba Linda High School in Southern California.
Great. And let's see, Nicholas Skelly.
Yeah, I'm Nicholas Skelly. I'm the chapter president at Kingsridge in Alpharetta, Georgia.
Great. Great. Ravi Gandhi.
Hi, I'm the chapter president of Old Bridge High School. Co-president, Alyssa, who's the other co-president, went first, I think.
Great. And okay, and Roshni Gandhi.
Hi, I'm also co-president of Old Bridge High School from Old Bridge, New Jersey.
Great. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Ryan Brady. Ryan, are you there? All right. Savannah Martinez. See, Savannah, are you there?
Yes.
Okay. If you just wanted to let us know what chapter you're from, that'd be great.
I'm a cabinet member in the Naples High School chapter.
Okay, great. Thank you. Okay, and Cedric?
Yeah, my name's Cedric right here. I am the Basis San Antonio chapter president. We were founded just last year. This is our first webinar, and I'm excited to be here.
Awesome. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thanks.
Okay, and Tyler Senecal?
Hi, I'm Tyler. I'm president of the Hoosick Falls chapter in upstate New York, and our chapter is relatively new as well. We just started this year.
Okay, great. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Okay, and it looks like that's everybody who I had signed in the beginning. If you've joined us since we started, I apologize, but welcome to all of you, and we're really glad that you're here. I don't know, do you want to take a minute and introduce yourself, Tessa?
Yeah, sure. So I'm the chapter president of the RUHS chapter in Southern Arizona. We're in Tucson, and I have been in JSA. This is my second year. I'm a sophomore. It's also my second year in cabinet, and I just have a great chapter, and I love JSA like all of you do.
Right. I was happy to have Tessa willing to co-present with me, because obviously we can talk a lot about chapter recruitment, but you guys are really kind of the boots on the ground and the people that are going to have to be doing the recruiting. So I think it's important to have obviously the student perspective, and then we have a good number of you on the call, but I don't think it's an overwhelming amount. So as we go along, if you have questions, or certainly if you have ideas or suggestions for other chapters, that would be great, and we'd love to hear them. You should be able to see on your webinar panel a little thing that allows you to raise your hand. If you do that, if you raise your hand, that'll notify me, so I'll know that you have a question or a comment, and I'll call on you. So hopefully that works out well. And then we'll definitely have time at the end to talk about questions or anything like that. But we definitely want this to be useful to you. And it sounds like quite a few of you are pretty new chapters, and that's great. So most of these ideas will hopefully be helpful to you. But even, and I'm sure for those of you who are in chapters who have been around for a while, certainly know that recruitment is still important, and pretty easily, just even within the span of a year, a chapter can go from being, really strong and kind of one of the top chapters, and then a bunch of seniors graduate and things look really different. So recruitment is definitely something that everybody needs to focus on, whether you've been around for a while or whether you're new.
Yeah, and and I think Beth put my email in the slideshow somewhere, so if you have any questions throughout the year or at the beginning here about recruitment, please email me. I think I hope that I can answer some of those questions and help you guys out.
Yeah, definitely, and Tessa's chapter definitely, I would say, has become a really strong and large chapter in Arizona, but they also go through that kind of cycle of, losing a bunch of seniors, and they've done a pretty good job of recruiting, well, people like Tessa who are not upperclassmen, so that they can make sure that they're continuing throughout the year. So why is recruitment important? Obviously, some of this is, probably obvious to you, but we talked a little bit about the senior graduation issue, and that really can become a pretty substantial problem for chapters. If you're looking at your current chapter membership and you're almost all seniors with maybe a handful of juniors, that's going to be hard for your chapter to continue on after you all graduate. And I think sometimes, especially at the beginning of the year, people don't really think about that yet because you've still got an entire school year until you're graduating. But if you just kind of take a look at your chapter and kind of see what the breakdown is in terms of classes and pay attention to make sure that you're, reaching out to underclassmen as well. And we'll talk about ways to do that. And then recruitment is important, meaning being a substantial club in your school because you're likely to have more support from your administration. So if you're a pretty well-known and established club in your school, or you become that way, it's more likely that you'll have a TA who sticks with you, you'll have a principal who's aware of your club, even a superintendent who is, and that all comes into play because if your club ever is in need of something, you want your administration to be aware of the club and supportive. Also, if you need assistance with travel to conventions and things like that, it's definitely helpful if administration's already aware of you and has a positive view of your JSA chapter. So that's really important. And then I think recruitment also matters because you want new ideas and voices in your chapter. If you have a chapter where everybody kind of thinks the same and has the same views, that really isn't as exciting. So I think that it's important to make sure that you're reaching out to people with different views and voices and bringing those into your chapter, because that diversity and that differences of ideas being brought together is really what kind of sets JSA apart. So just those are kind of general things to keep in mind when you're looking to ways to get people to join your chapter or to expand your chapter. Okay, so branding your chapter. So this is a little bit about when you are recruiting or when you're even trying to start your chapter from the get-go, which I know some of you are doing right now. It's how you kind of get people to be interested in JSA and also get them to understand, what sets JSA apart from other clubs. So people sometimes say that branding is what people say when you are not in the room. So it's meaning kind of the perception that people have of your JSA chapter and what they think that the JSA chapter does, what they think you do at your meetings. That sort of thing is just kind of the general perception that your student body has, as well as your administration. So some of the things that are important to remember, especially if you're in the chapter president position or a chapter leader position, to remember that you are kind of always representing the JSA chapter, even if you're not doing it in an official capacity. If people recognize you as the chapter president, then they're going to kind of look to you to see, what they think of JSA and what they think JSA is about. And so you're really going to be reflecting that. And so you kind of want to keep that in mind. And especially when you're talking about your JSA chapter, whether it's just giving information or getting people involved, making sure that you're representing it in the best way possible. In order to kind of get information out about your chapter, besides just kind of word of mouth and talking to students, obviously social media has been a great help in this area. I think most, especially large chapters, have some type of social media presence, whether it's just using Twitter to let people know about the meetings and what's going to be discussed at the meetings. Some people have, entire Facebook pages for their chapter. So you can really kind of expand a lot in that area if you're interested in, and that can get a lot of people, again, more interested in your chapter and what you're doing. I don't know, Tessa, do you guys have a Twitter feed or a Facebook page?
Yeah, we do, but they kind of they've been dead the past couple of years, so actually we have a position in our officers. We have a director of technology and a historian. They're one group, and right now her name's Jameson, and she's setting up a website. She's taking care of our Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and then we also have a Remind, and I think maybe some of the other schools here use that, but it's something for classes and clubs at our school where we can send out text messages to everyone who's in the club. And that's really important because I've seen how it would be way more beneficial in the past years if we had it, and it's already, because we're utilizing social media, it's already helping a ton. So
Great.
definitely do that.
Yeah, and that's an important thing to remember too is when chapters kind of go through that cycle, it is sometimes true maybe someone did start a Facebook page at some point or has a Twitter handle, but then no one's really picked up it. So you want to make sure that if you have those out there that you're, like Tessa said, kind of recommitting to using them so that people are aware of what you're doing and are excited about what your chapter is into.
Can I add something onto that, Beth?
Sure, of course.
So, so what we did last year, our chapter grew exponentially. So it was a lot more to manage. And what the officers from last year did at the very end of the year is they made like a binder, or you could do a folder or something like that with all the like passwords that they created and all of the like the Constitution and everything like that, all the materials from last year. And I'm going to kind of tie this back to keeping your chapter going after all the seniors graduate, because that way we have all the information from the past years, so that when none of us are in the chapter any longer, the chapter can continue to have the records from the last year and can use the same Twitter handle and use all the same passwords and whatever it is. So especially for you new chapters, if you can start doing that now, I think that'll be really helpful in the future, so that you stay organized and it's easier for your chapter to continue after you're gone.
Yeah, that's a really great suggestion, and again, something I think maybe you don't think about while you're participating in the chapter, but definitely with going forward, Tessa's right, some of you won't be around after a while because you'll be graduating, so making sure that the chapter has everything that they need to have to sustain and to continue is really important, unless you all want to get phone calls after you've graduated asking for passwords, which you probably don't. So a little bit more with branding your chapter, and this kind of goes into the next slide about talking about what JSA actually is and why it's different from other clubs at school. There obviously are other organizations and clubs at schools that either have to do with civics or have to do with politics. Some schools have Model United Nations or a debate club or Young Democrats or Young Republicans, that sort of thing. So you want to be, when you're talking about JSA, really clear on what sets JSA apart from these other clubs or chapters at school, so people understand what it is, why it's different, and why it's something that they would be interested in. So what we recommend people do, and I know we did this as a cabinet in Arizona, and I think other cabinets do it as well, but I think it's really important for certainly chapter presidents and anyone else in chapter leadership to kind of develop either a JSA sales pitch, or sometimes they're called elevator pitches, which are really kind of a brief explanation that you could give to somebody if they asked you, if you say, yeah, I'm going to my JSA meeting, and they say, what is JSA? And you could give kind of a brief commentary on what JSA is and, make it interesting and obviously appropriate for the audience. If you're talking to a friend, that would be different than if you're talking to an administrator. But you're really kind of hitting on the key points of what it is that sets JSA apart. Why is JSA different than debate club, for example? JSA definitely does do debates. It's a big part of JSA, but it's not all that JSA does. There's a lot of other aspects to it as well. The fact that JSA is nonpartisan is really, I think, important, that we welcome all views and all opinions, and it's actually one of the things that I think makes JSA really interesting, is that you have exposure to all those different opinions. So bringing kind of those ideas into it. And then the biggest thing, which I should have started out with, is that JSA is the largest student-led organization in the country, which is a pretty remarkable thing. We kind of use that phrase with JSA being student-run and student-led, but the fact that we are the largest student-led organization in the country, that's something that really sets us apart. Most other clubs, are run by an adult, and we do have the teacher advisor role, but it really is, you all, the students, who are deciding what your club wants to, or what your chapter wants to do. You guys are the ones that write your constitutions. So that's really something that I think sets JSA apart and is something that you should include in that elevator pitch. And then again, talking about the other activism events that we do, we'll talk a little bit in a while about using Fight Apathy is kind of a recruitment tool in addition to being an activism activity. Lots of chapters I know will invite guest speakers to come, other ways to kind of be involved in civics. So again, letting them know that it isn't just debates. And then I think talking about conventions is obviously a big part of JSA. I know it's what a lot of people love the most about JSA. Most states, JSA states have 3 big overnight conventions every year. In Arizona, we have 2, but most everywhere else has 3. So talking about what those are, what Fall State is, what that looks like, getting people kind of excited about that, I think is important as well. And then an interesting statistic just to know that JSA is actually one of the top 10 clubs that Ivy League schools look for on college applications. So that may not be the top reason to get people to join JSA, but it's definitely, I think, something important for them to know that JSA is well recognized and well respected. So if they're looking for some things to be involved in that will, look good for the future, but also something they can enjoy now, I think, JSA definitely fits that. So again, I would, kind of in your, either write it down or practice it, that kind of sales pitch or elevator pitch that you can give to people. That way you have it ready to go whenever anyone asks you about JSA, and, obviously you would change it depending on who you're speaking to, but kind of give that general idea so people can understand what it is and what sets us apart. Does anyone have any questions at this point? I'll stop for a second. If you want to raise your hand, we can see if you have a question. Okay, I don't see any questions. Okay, all right. Well, and just feel free to raise your hand if at any point you do have a question. Okay, so a little bit about teacher advisors. So we just spent a lot of time talking about how JSA is student-led and student-run, which is true and important, and definitely, I think, what makes JSA unique. But we do have teacher advisors, or some schools have another parent serving in that role, a parent or adult. So it's important to understand, the role of the teacher advisor, and also involving your teacher advisor in all aspects of your chapter, but also in recruitment. One of the best things that your teacher advisor can do for you is be a liaison between you and your school's administration. I'm sure for those of you who have served as chapter presidents and gone through, convention registration, have had to deal with the probably lots of different forms you have to fill out or requests you have to make for overnight trips, and that kind of figuring out the process and how to do that, a teacher advisor can really help you with that, especially if they feel really invested in your chapter, which hopefully they do. So, get your TAs involved as early as possible, especially for those of you who are just starting chapters and obviously have a new TA. Make sure that they feel, connected and involved to what your chapter is doing, that they're aware of what you guys have planned, what you're doing at your chapter meetings, what you have planned for recruitment activities, so that they will feel connected and then, of course, be able to help you if you run into any problems. So they're definitely a great resource to have. And then also, you can look to other teachers who are interested in JSA, whether they just want to maybe stop by a chapter meeting to kind of see what JSA is about, or if they want to be supportive of recruitment activities. The more people you can get talking about JSA to students, so that includes teachers in their classrooms, the better, the more people you can get involved. And also, you never know if your teacher advisor might change, so it's always a great idea to have other teachers who are supportive of JSA in case you need somebody to step in to fill that TA role. So it's really, kind of reaching out to teachers as well as students to make sure they know what JSA is and hopefully are supportive of it. Do you have anything to add?
Oh yeah, sorry. So at my school, we do have a teacher advisor, and she's so very helpful. But another great resource, especially if they're teachers from your past years or teachers that you have currently, I know that a lot of my teachers, if you ask them, they will allow you to make announcements or something at the beginning of class, and that's a great way to recruit people or get people to start talking about it, is if you go up in class on your meeting day or sometime that week and you're like, hey, we have a JSA meeting this week in this room at this time. If you're interested in debate, you should come and check it out. And I have a kid in my chapter who every Thursday stands up in her Spanish class and says in Spanish her whole like JSA thing for that week, and it's really, really helpful. So if your teachers are open to that, monopolize on it. Take it, do it, and it helps a lot. So
yeah, I think that's definitely true, and that's a good point that you can get teachers to allow you to make an announcement in class or to talk to other students about your JSA chapter as well. So that's a great idea. And then I saw Cedric. I'm going to unmute you because I saw your hand was raised. So okay, Cedric, are you there?
Okay, yeah, I'm here. Thank you. I actually had a bit I wanted to ask. I'm not sure if you noticed a bit earlier.
I didn't.
had my hand raised. You mentioned that JSA is one of the top 10 schools Ivy Leagues look at.
Yes.
Yes, I'm wondering if you happen to have, like, I know this sounds really tedious, a source or maybe that I could make this with. I actually have a bit to fill in here. I am also, besides chapter president, I'm also an expansion agent for my state. And right now I came up with this idea to put up a presentation for JSA chapters to sort of help recruit new members in on the national website. Right now my department's working on it. Later on our governor is going to be pitching it to the Council of Governors to put up on the national website. So I'm just to get this info on for this presentation. I'm working on it right now. You said JSA is the one of the top 10 clubs Ivy League schools look at?
Correct. Yes.
Yes. Hello?
Hi. Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. So my guess is you probably want some sort of source for that information. Is that what you're asking?
Yeah, just something I could maybe look back at when I'm finishing this up.
Of course, yes, I can definitely get that to you. And just in general, so you guys know, this is being recorded. So if you loved it this much and want to rewatch it, you can, but also, or re-listen to it, other people can as well who weren't able to join us. And I believe the PowerPoint will also be available. So, but I can definitely, I'll make a note right now to get you that citation because that's a great idea. Yeah, and I'm glad you guys are doing that. That's great. Okay, yeah, and so, I'll keep my eye on the hands here. So if anyone else has anything to add as we go along, please jump in because, like I said, you guys are really the ones with the most experience. So we definitely would like to hear from you. Okay, so a little bit about club fairs. So this is kind of talking about, especially at the beginning of the school year. I know most schools have some sort of club or activities fair where they kind of, students can kind of go around and see all of the different options that are available to them to be involved in. I know in some schools this is kind of a formal activity and you have to make sure that you sign up in time. And then other schools it's more informal, maybe something that's held after school and, kind of whoever wants to can set up. So. But the idea for promoting JSA and recruiting JSA is the same. This is really one of the best times to get students interested because you have kind of a captive audience. So, you want to make sure that if you're setting up a booth at a fair like this, that you stand out because obviously you're going to be kind of competing against the other clubs at your school. So in addition to making sure that people understand what makes JSA stand out and what makes JSA special, you want to make sure that that's demonstrated at your table. Offering free food is always a great idea. People love snacks and food. I do tabling for teachers to try to recruit them to JSA, and having free candy always helps. So make sure that you can do that if you can. I think the more that you can kind of show the uniqueness of your chapter or some of the activities that you guys have done, so if you have pictures from activities from the previous year or pictures from you guys at conventions, showing that can really be help people kind of see what JSA is about, maybe have some information on some of the debates that you guys have done so people can look at those, anything like that. And I think this is a great time especially if you're a new chapter and you're trying to get the word out. You may not have a lot of this experience as a chapter yourself, but reaching out to your state cabinet, so your governor, your lieutenant governor, and asking them for some ideas or help, and then also your program director whoever that might be, letting them know if you're having some sort of booth set up, if you could get some materials, whether you want some JSA flyers or fight apathy stickers, things like that to help your booth stand out. Those are some great resources to have, especially if you're new. And then I would say, at any type of event like this, make sure you have a sign-up sheet where you get people's information, particularly their cell phones and email addresses, so that you can contact them about attending chapter meetings and becoming chapter members, so that you don't kind of miss that opportunity to be able to connect with them later. And then this type of activity is really great for obviously chapter presidents, but also anyone in your chapter who's pretty social and outgoing. I would get them to try to come to the booth and help staff the booth if they're, able to talk to people pretty easily. That's who you really want to be there representing JSA, because that would be one of their strengths. So again, I think all of us are kind of in the beginning of the school year. I know some people started earlier than others, but if you've already had your club fair, that's fine. You can still use these ideas. If you haven't had that yet, then definitely use some of these ideas to recruit members at that point. All right. Okay, sorry, I didn't mean to go back there. Okay. Okay, so these are just some samples of flyers. So another great idea is if you're having a booth or some sort of informational session on JSA, or even if you're just going to put up some flyers around school, make sure that whatever flyer you're using has where the meeting's going to be and the time and the date so people can see. I know JSA has some of these posters that you can fill in the meeting date. And so, again, if you want to contact your program director or your state leadership to get those for your chapter, that's another great resource. You could also reach out to, if your chapter doesn't have anyone who's really great with graphics or design, you could reach out to someone on cabinet who does that, because we do have people who serve on cabinet for that, for those reasons, to help promote JSA and come up with great kind of graphics and also promotional ideas. So there's a lot of resources for you out there in your state, especially if you're just starting out. Most of you have probably seen the We Want You JSA sign. That's, I think, been the most recent one that was printed, where you can put the meeting date and time on there. So, okay, let's see. Ryan, it looks like you have your hand up, so I'm going to unmute you. Ryan?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
I just wanted to know if you can give us information on who in the cabinet we can contact for those posters and things.
So every state cabinet operates a little differently in terms of the positions they have. I know in Arizona we created a position for kind of our public relations department. But I would, if you're not sure who to contact, I would contact your governor or lieutenant governor or your program director and ask them.
Okay, thanks.
And definitely with the pre-printed JSA signs, your program director can get those for you for sure.
Okay, thanks.
Sure. And then let's see, Ravi, are you there?
I just had a question about like, are there any other types of resources that JSA would provide, like posters and like graphic designs for T-shirts, if some have already been made?
Yeah. So in terms of, are you talking about things like that have already been created, or just graphics that you could use?
Either. Just like
Okay.
any resources, because we just started our chapter. Like this year is like our first official year, so anything that they have really helps.
Yeah, I mean, I would say again, I would start with your state leadership and see what they have available. I know, for example, in Arizona, we have a couple of different graphics that we use for JSA Arizona that certainly we could give to chapters if they want to use them. And then Arizona, because we're one of the younger states in JSA, so we're actually just kind of starting with trying to get our own T-shirts and everything. So we've kind of put that out to people who are interested in design, asking them to come up with T-shirt designs, and then we'll use one of those. But in terms of JSA at the national level, we certainly have a lot of graphics and emblems that we use. And that's something, again, that feel free to reach out to me. I could get those to you, or your program director. We have those available. And we're kind of working towards having a more unified approach to materials. So at some point, hopefully, we'll have like kind of a JSA store on the website so people can purchase items there if they would like to. That's kind of the future. But yeah, in terms of graphics or things that you could use to print up, yeah, feel free to reach out to me, or if you want it to be specific for your state, to your state leadership.
Thank you. Just one last question. I've heard a lot about fight apathy in JSA. I was wondering how we could get involved with that.
Great question, and we're actually going to talk about fight apathy in just a minute, so that was perfect.
Thank you.
Beth, when we get to fight apathy, I have a couple of things for that too. So.
Okay, good. All right, and then Andrew, do you have a question?
Actually, I had more of a suggestion that I wanted to share. So building off of what Tessa said a while back, because I've had my hand raised, but when she was talking about like standing up in class in the first 5 minutes, I've realized that like many teachers are really responsive if you go up to them and ask, can I go to your class in like the last 5 minutes and give a whole spiel on JSA? And this is really useful if you go to like the freshman history teachers or the freshman English teachers, because I've gotten so many freshmen to join my chapter just by going to their classroom.
And that's what we do in ours too. It works really well, especially for freshman teachers.
Yeah, that's a great idea, and I think definitely something that people may not think that they're able to do. So yeah, and it sounds like you guys have had a lot of success with just asking if you can. So yeah, so thank you. Okay. Okay, so we will continue on here. Okay, so recruitment meetings. So this would kind of be your next step after you have kind of an informational booth at a club fair at your school, or if you don't have club fairs at your schools, you could still have a recruitment meeting. Again, these are best for the beginning of the school year, but if you feel like kind of midway through the school year that there's students out there who might be interested in JSA or asking about JSA, you can certainly hold a recruitment meeting at any time that you would like. So obviously you want to make sure that you cover in the recruitment meeting that kind of what is JSA overview, so people come away with a clear understanding of what they would be joining and what they would be involved in. And then also I think it's important to make sure it's fun. So whether you plan a debate, which is a great idea, and just make sure that the debate is a topic that, you know, isn't too far out there, something that most people would be familiar with and feel kind of hopefully comfortable engaging in, so they could even kind of join the debate for the first time. You definitely would want to make sure that you have some seasoned debaters in your chapter kind of ready to do the debate, so they can demonstrate how JSA does debates, but you know, make it open enough that people feel like they could participate if they feel ready. And then you could even publicize the debate topic beforehand on a flyer when you're passing out information about the recruitment meeting. So either people might come because they're interested in that topic, but they would at least kind of know what the debate topic was so they could prepare beforehand if they're interested. And then, of course, the flyer design, we talked about that. If you're going to have a recruitment meeting, you want to make sure that you advertise it. So whether you're handing flyers out during lunch or if you can hand them out in classrooms, utilizing social media to get the word out, and then just word of mouth, you know, all of those are great tools to use. Having food at recruitment meetings, I think, will get possibly more people to attend and interested in coming, and that's important. And I think it would be good also, you know, at the meeting to talk about what JSA is, have some sort of activity, but also have some time for the potential new members to kind of just talk to current members and in a more kind of casual atmosphere. And so give some time for that so they can ask questions if they want to, or you know, talk more one-on-one about JSA, and then make sure you have the kind of new membership sign-up forms with you there so that you can get people to sign up right then if they're interested in becoming a JSA member or part of your chapter. So any questions about recruitment meetings, or Tessa, do you have anything to add there?
So I'm not a new chapter, and we don't usually do recruitment, or like I didn't do one this year at least because we already had a substantial amount of people, and then they just continue to bring people with them. But we did have a club fair, and that's what I'll talk more about it, I guess, when we get to the fight apathy thing. But part of the best parts about, or a really great way to get people involved if you want to entice them to come to a meeting is by using fight apathy stickers or encouraging them to write what they believe on like a trifold board or like put it on a name tag or something, and that's what we do. And I can talk more about that.
Great. Okay, and then let's see. Drew, it looks like you had your hand up.
Yeah, so when you guys were talking about using social media to recruit members, basically, my chapter hadn't created any social media yet, and we were leaning towards prioritizing Instagram, but I was wondering if you had found out whether one platform was more helpful to you than another or anything like that.
I think I actually would punt that to you, Tessa. I don't know, do you have a feel for that?
Well, okay, so as far as when it comes to pitching to kids, I think Facebook is not the way to always go, but that depends on your demographic, and that's kind of for you to figure out. But when it comes to fundraising or anything that involves people of the older generation, Facebook is your best friend. So I really encourage you. So quick story time. Last year in Cabinet for mid-year, we had to raise $60 through the Stay Classy pages, which some of you may be familiar with. And within like 36 hours, I had raised $600 by just posting my Stay Classy page on my parents' Facebooks. So like it required zero effort, and I pulled in that much money. So I would encourage you to have a Facebook page, even if it's not as highly prioritized as Instagram, but there may become a time when it becomes an asset. So that's my 2 cents.
Can you explain a little bit what the Stay Classy pages are? I haven't heard of them.
Yeah, so Stay Classy pages are the platform that we use for our student fundraising. So if you get involved in fundraising for your chapter, and especially at the state level, you'll create a Stay Classy page, and that's what you'll use for people. People can go straight to that page to donate. So that's something that if you're interested in trying to do that with your chapter, you certainly can. And so you would just want to ask your state leadership about that.
Okay.
Okay. So so another way to kind of draw people into joining JSA and learning about JSA, in addition to having a recruitment meeting, are to have kind of special events. So whether you can get a really great guest speaker, maybe someone in your chapter has a connection to a local politician, or someone who works in politics, maybe someone who's a dynamic journalist, someone who can come address a political issue. That can be a great way to draw people to attend an event that they might not otherwise, and kind of learn about JSA that way. Another thing that's pretty popular that I know a lot of chapters do are hosting a debate between 2 teachers, because that can usually be pretty fun. Sometimes one of the teachers is a TA, but they aren't always. And they usually will debate an issue that's important to the school or community, maybe talking about dress codes or standardized testing. But usually it's pretty fun to watch 2 teachers who are kind of dynamic debaters debate each other. And that's a way to get people to kind of come to an event that isn't a JSA meeting, but get them to kind of be interested in JSA and possibly sign up. So again, at anything like that, you just want to make sure that you have a sign-up sheet, so you can get the information from students who attend, so you can contact them later about joining JSA. And then I know during elections, some chapters will have watch parties for results on elections. That's another great event to have in order to kind of get people interested in JSA. And so basically with the recruitment meetings, guest speakers, debate watch parties, all of these are just ways to get people who would probably really love to be a part of JSA into JSA through different ways that whatever they might be drawn to. Someone might come because they're really interested in hearing from this certain guest speaker that you got, and then realize, wow, this is something that I really want to be a part of. So the more kind of creative you can get on ways to kind of use the JSA platform to get people involved, I think that, the better. It makes it more interesting and exciting for people, definitely. And then another thing I know that some chapters do are, and Tessa talked a little bit about how they've had a lot of success with current chapter members just bringing new people in. And definitely once you kind of get a little more established and have a pretty good base of chapter members, then them bringing their friends or people that they think might be interested to a JSA meeting is a great way to recruit new people. And I do know that some chapters will create some sort of incentive, kind of like other incentive programs. If you sign up 5 of your friends, you get some sort of award or prize, or you do some sort of fun competition about who can get the most people to join the chapter, that sort of thing. So again, just all of those creative ideas I think work really well to get people interested. And then we talked about how we definitely want to talk to potential members about our annual conventions, because those are exciting and kind of unique JSA opportunities, and probably something that people want to hear about and be involved in. But something that people can do who are interested in JSA as well is attend a one-day conference, or for those chapters that have their own conferences, a chapter conference. Because this is something that people can do even if they're not members of a chapter officially yet. Obviously, it's a lot cheaper and easier for them to get to something like this than it would be an overnight convention. So it's a way for them to kind of get a taste of JSA without necessarily having to be a chapter member yet. But I think a lot of times when people experience a one-day or when they experience a chapter convention, that really is what kind of hooks them in wanting to be a part of JSA. So, definitely finding ways for them to be able to attend your one-days or your chapter conferences and making sure that they're open to new members is great. And, kind of on the flip side of that, you want to make sure that whatever one day you're hosting or chapter convention, that it's really outstanding and welcoming, because you could also certainly turn people away if they don't feel included or if it's not well run or well organized. So you just want to keep that in mind. And then let's see, Cedric, did you have another question or comment?
Yes, I did actually. It had to involve club group meetings. So, okay, I actually kind of forgot the exact details of my question. I'll get to that in a second. I have 2 others at the moment. One of them is a few times you mentioned that we could get in contact with you if we had questions over things like, I believe one of them was designs with T-shirts. I was wondering if you might be able to give your contact information, please.
So when we get to the last slide, I'll have my email address and my cell phone number, and then we'll also have Tessa's email address as well. So you'll have those there, and then you should also all get a kind of a thank you email for attending this, and that should have my contact information as well.
Okay, great. Thanks.
So, because I'm a little unique since I'm the Arizona program director, I'm actually based in Arizona, so I'm remote, so that's why it'll be my cell phone number, but you're welcome to use it.
Okay, thank you. I'm also wondering if you might be willing to email the slideshow to me.
Sure,
to look at reference.
I think that the slideshow, it should be made available to everyone, but if it's not, then I'll make sure, because I have all of you guys listed who registered, so I'll make sure I email it to all of you.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks. Okay. All right, so fight apathy is finally what we're getting to, because I know a lot of people have been wanting to talk about that, including Tessa. So let's see. Okay, so I know some of you have probably been through fight apathy, been through a fight apathy campaign, and know a lot about it, and then others, it sounds like, are pretty new to fight apathy. So fight apathy is kind of JSA's, or it is JSA's big activism event for the year. We do have a day designated to fight apathy, the fight apathy campaign, but really, as Tessa kind of will talk about, chapters really use it throughout the year as a recruiting tool, as a way to promote JSA. If you've seen them, we have Fight Apathy stickers, and it's a way for students to quickly identify an issue that they care about, something that they care about that would, make them want to be involved. So really anything that would fight against people being apathetic. And the idea really came from, people's viewpoint that the younger generations don't really care about what's happening, and they don't care about issues. And so this is kind of a way to turn that around and say, obviously we have people who care a lot, and these are specific issues that they care about, and it's a way for them, to make it personal. So Tessa, I'll let you talk more about this.
Okay, yeah, so JSA at my school at least, we use it more, it's part of our branding, I guess, and also part of our recruiting. And so we have, some of our teachers have little stacks of them on their desk and stuff that they can hand out to people. But what we really use it for is when we're at school events with lots of other clubs. And so we recently had a club fair at my school, and what we did is we had this big trifold poster, and we had like hundreds of Fight Apathy stickers, and I had my best salesman, for my chapter that came and pitched JSA to, like hundreds of kids that were coming into this club fair, and it lasted for a short time, so people were just taking a look, and that's a great way to catch people's eyes if you give them one of these Fight Apathy stickers and a pen, and you're like, write what you believe in. And people wore them around on their shirts all day and put them on the board, and I see them on people's water bottles now and on their folders and stuff. And it's something quick and simple that people always remember, and it really gets to the root of what JSA is. And so it makes it wonderful for recruitment, and it keeps people talking. So I'm a big fan of Fight Apathy, and you guys should be too. So definitely look into that and talk to your states and your cabinet members, and see if you can get some stickers from them and your program directors, because they're really valuable. And if you ever have volunteer events or watch parties or your teacher debates or whatever it may be, those are great to have. So definitely look into those. That's all I have to say.
Yeah, and definitely, as Tessa said, Fight Apathy is kind of, because the stickers are easy to hand out and talk about, a quick way to kind of get information out about JSA. There are also schools that when they have Fight Apathy Day, it's an official school event. So again, that's a way if you want to involve your school administration. I think some people have even attempted to have it go across the district into all of the high schools in their district, to have a Fight Apathy Day to kind of talk about political issues. Obviously use the Fight Apathy stickers and get people really engaged, whether they're in JSA or not, on the Fight Apathy campaign. So if that's something that you think would work well at your school, definitely something you want to involve your TA on, and talking to your administration kind of early on about seeing if you can hold an official Fight Apathy event. Okay, so Claudia, I see that you have your hand up, but for some reason it's not letting me unmute you, I think because you're on the web. So you can type in your question if you would like to. Oh wait, maybe I do see it. Okay, so yeah, I'm not sure why we can't unmute you, but if you want to type in your question, you can. Okay, and then Ryan, I saw you asked if we can give you information on how to find people on your cabinet. So that should be something that you can quickly access for your state. Whether if your state has a website that's up to date, it should be there. If you don't have information on your cabinet members, I would go to your program director and ask them. You can at least kind of start with maybe the chief of staff or the lieutenant governor, and they can help connect you with whoever you need to on cabinet. I think the other states are the same way. If you're on cabinet, you're given a JSA email address, and it's your first initial last name at, for example, it would be arizona.jsa.org. So you would fill in that Arizona with whatever state you're a part of, and that might be a way to contact people as well if you know their name. So hopefully that answers that question. And then, okay, so Claudia, you asked, is Fight Apathy an event or something has to be approved like one day? So as we kind of talked about, people do it different ways. We do have a Fight Apathy Day in the spring that it's a cool idea because it's everyone celebrating Fight Apathy and focusing on Fight Apathy across the country on one day. And that could be, you have your chapter meeting that day and you give stickers out to students. It could be that you made it an official event through your school or through your district. But then as Tessa said, it's also something that you can use throughout the year to kind of recruit people and get people interested in JSA and the Fight Apathy campaign. And whether it has to be approved or not, if you mean by your school, that would be something that you would need to check with your school if you want to make it an official event. My guess is they would need to approve it. If it's something that you want to, if it's more just kind of a JSA activity, then that's something that you would coordinate with your teacher advisor on. So hopefully that answers that question. Oh, okay, so Cedric asked, okay, if we can have Fight Apathy on more than one day. Absolutely. So again, the one day idea is really just because it's pretty powerful to think that there are student chapters all over the country doing this at once. But certainly, if you want to have several Fight Apathy days, whether it's as a recruitment tool or just as an activity at your school, you certainly can. And it sounds like that's what Tessa's done at Rincon UHS as well. So definitely. Okay. Anyone else have a question at this point? So now we're to the official questions slide. So let me check to see if I have any raised hands. Okay. Okay, Dale, did you have a question?
I just wanted to make a comment on the Fight Apathy.
Oh, sure. Mm-hmm.
Like I said, I'm from the PAWS chapter, which is in Plainfield, New Jersey, so we're part of the MAS. And we actually took Fight Apathy to another level. We actually did Fight Apathy Week. So that's
oh, wow.
if you're interested in. So like one day we did a color. So if you believe in so-and-so, then you would wear yellow. And then another day we did the stickers. Then another day we did something where you could sign your name on a board and say what you believe in. So you can really just expand it to however, and it really did bring a lot more people to attention to our chapter.
Yeah, that's a great idea. I hadn't heard of someone doing it for a consistent week, but that's awesome. So did you do that kind of school-wide?
Yeah, it was for school.
Okay. Okay, very cool. Thank you. Okay, and then Drew, it looks like you have a question.
We actually did the same thing where we did Fight Apathy for a week last year. We had our members go around during lunch and pass out the stickers, and each day in the morning we had a member go on the announcements and they would talk about like a political issue that they were, or social issue that they were passionate about. So everyone kind of got like to learn about something new in the morning before school would start, and everyone could go on and say what they felt.
That's great. Okay, and so is that something that you had to work with your school administration on?
Yes, but it was really quick. All we had to do was really get permission to use the announcement system, and they were fine with us doing. They knew about Fight Apathy already, so they were kind of just like, oh, okay.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, that's great. I think that's a great idea of holding a week-long event. Yeah, I'm using the announcement system or getting kind of creative and using the stickers one day and other ideas another day. All of those are, I think, great ideas. So let's see. Tyler? Tyler, did you? Okay.
Yes. Do you think that holding a student body assembly would also work to help with the Fight Apathy campaign?
I think absolutely. I think if your school is willing to allow you to have an assembly time to talk about Fight Apathy, I think that would be a phenomenal event. What you'd want to make sure that you do is, of course, get the approval that you need, but make sure that it's really well planned and well organized because, of course, you're promoting Fight Apathy, but you're also promoting your JSA chapter. So if you're going to get that many people, to be able to kind of get exposed to Fight Apathy and to JSA, you want to make sure that you're kind of, putting your best foot forward. But I think that would be a great way to expand Fight Apathy.
Thanks.
Yes, sir. Okay. All right. And it looks like Cedric, did you have a question or comment?
Yes. Actually, no, not at the moment. I didn't have my hand raised or anything, but thanks for taking the time to get back to me.
Okay. Well, I apologize. Okay. Let's see. Okay. Let's see. Drew, did you have a comment or question?
Oh my gosh, no, I'm sorry. I just forgot to take my hand down.
No, that's okay. It's okay. It happens. All right. So at this point, we've kind of gone through all of the information that we wanted to. So there's the contact information that some of you were asking about. That's my email address and cell phone number, and then Tessa's email address as well. And either of us would be happy to talk to you. Certainly, if you have questions about resources from JSA, I'm happy to be your contact for that. And then if I can't get you an answer, I'll contact your program director and help you out. If you have specific questions about chapter activities or recruitment ideas, especially things to do with fight apathy, certainly I would suggest contacting Tessa because they've done a lot with fight apathy, and she has a lot of experience there. So, and she said she'd be happy to help you out. So really, we all want, successful chapters in JSA, and a big part of successful chapters are recruiting new members, whether you're just starting out or whether you want your chapter to continue even after you graduate. These are all things that we need to focus on. So I'll ask again if we've got any questions or comments. Okay, Ravi?
Just one suggestion I had for like recruitment. Our school, because is kind of extra. We got ourselves a Snapchat filter for our first meeting day, so that's just something that might help because of that. So yeah.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Actually, that is not one I've heard before, but that is a good idea. Okay. And then let's see. Okay, I don't see anyone else's hand raised. So this is kind of your last call for raising your hand or comment. Obviously, if you want to reach out afterwards, you're more than welcome to. And I really appreciate everyone who gave us kind of some tips and ideas from your chapters, because again, I think that really helps all of us. Cedric, did you have something?
Yes, thank you. Oh my God, I was a little afraid there that we'd end the call without me getting to ask my question. So this is really more of a question to really everyone in the audience. Right now, I'm still trying, we're putting together, I mentioned earlier that we're working on making a presentation that could hopefully end up on the national website. To all the chapter presidents out there, I'm wondering if any of you guys would be interested in taking a look at this presentation we made, and maybe if you can, presenting it at your own chapter. If you guys are having some kind of info session to bring in new members, I would love to hear some feedback on it so it could really help out anyone else in future days.
Yeah, if you want to send it to me, that would be great. I'll take a look at it.
Could I get your contact information, please?
Well, my email is on the slide before, so sending it to there would be the best.
Okay, thank you.
Does that work? Is that okay?
I'll make it work, yeah.
Okay.
Thanks.
Well, hopefully you guys can see the contact information. If for some reason you can't, like I said, that should come out in an email after the presentation as well. Okay, so I saw a couple more hand raised. Okay. Grace, did you have a question or comment?
Yeah, so I was wondering when Fight Apathy Day is, like what the date is for this year.
It's always held in the spring. To be honest, I'm not sure if we've picked the official date yet, but it would definitely be on the website. It's usually, I believe, in April.
Okay.
You'll get plenty of information beforehand about the official day, and that's when we'll make sure that all of the chapters in each state gets their Fight Apathy stickers in time for your event, so that you can use those to promote Fight Apathy.
Perfect. And then I'm also willing to look at that slideshow, Cedric, I think, if you want me to. I can give you my email. My email is Grace Mena, MENNA, 09@gmail. So if you need that. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, and if others of you on the call are interested in looking at that presentation, if you want to, probably the easiest thing, if you want to email me, then I can forward your email addresses on to Cedric if you're willing to look at that. So I appreciate that. Okay, so I don't see any other hand raised, and we're 10 minutes over the hour that I promised. So, okay, so again, there's the contact information. Please feel free to reach out because recruitment is an activity that is always important and always going on. I hope this was helpful for you. I really appreciate all of your participation. Tessa, thank you so much for joining us and helping out with your advice.
No problem. Thank you for having me, and thanks for everyone that joined. It's really great.
Yeah, we really appreciate it. And so as chapter presidents, you're going to have access to monthly webinars on different topics. So I encourage you to take advantage of those as much as you can. And again, really, reach out and use the resources that you have available with your state leadership and with your program directors and with, JSA in general. So I'll make sure that you guys get a copy of the PowerPoint and copies of our contact information. And hopefully we will hear from you and hear some exciting recruitment stories. So thank you so much and have a great evening. Bye.
Yeah. Bye.